You wake up tired even after sleeping. You go through the day doing everything right, but nothing feels right. Conversations drain you. Your work feels heavier than it used to, and you cannot explain why the life you once wanted now feels wrong. This is not burnout. This is not a bad phase. This is the moment your old life stops fitting who you are becoming. At this stage, everything on the outside can appear normal. You are still functioning, still showing up, still fulfilling responsibilities, yet inside, something has quietly shifted. Your inner center of gravity has moved, and what once aligned with it no longer does. This is why the discomfort feels strange and difficult to explain. It is not chaos. It is reconfiguration. You are not losing your life, you are outgrowing it. Most people try to resist this phase with great effort. They attempt to return to old rhythms, old ambitions, old ways of being. They tell themselves that if they can just regain their previous motivation, everything will settle again. But it will not, because your old life was designed to serve the needs of the person you were, and the person you are becoming requires a different structure. When your soul begins to withdraw its energy from what can no longer sustain it, work can feel empty, relationships can feel distant, small talk becomes exhausting, and distractions stop working the way they once did. You begin to crave depth, meaning, and alignment, not because you are becoming dramatic, but because your inner system is being tuned to something more truthful. This stage often begins quietly. There is no dramatic event and no clear explanation, only the subtle realization that you are wearing a life that no longer belongs to you. Many people panic here. They assume something is wrong with them and start chasing stimulation, making impulsive changes, or trying to escape the discomfort. But this stage cannot be escaped. It must be walked through, because this is the point where God begins to dismantle the inner scaffolding of your former self, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you with greater integrity. The pain you feel in this season is not punishment. It is precision. Every layer of your identity that was built to survive, to please, to perform, or to protect is being gently loosened. As it loosens, you feel exposed, uncertain, and unsteady, and this is both normal and necessary. You cannot carry a new life inside an old structure. This is why the old version of you feels tired. It is not because you are weak, but because that version of you has completed its assignment. The confusion you experience is not loss of direction, it is loss of attachment. You are slowly detaching from a life that no longer matches the architecture of your soul. You no longer fully belong to the past, but you are not yet settled into the future. Everything feels suspended. You feel like you are waiting without knowing for what, restless without knowing why, sensitive without knowing to what. This is the doorway of becoming, where nothing feels solid, yet everything is being shaped. People around you may not understand this season. They may think you are withdrawing, losing motivation, or overthinking. They may encourage you to return to how you were, but they cannot see what is being rebuilt inside you. Your spirit is reorganizing its priorities, and your heart is recalibrating its loyalties, and this internal work always looks like confusion from the outside. Your discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something important is happening within you. There is a reason this stage feels lonely, even when you are surrounded by people. When your inner life begins to shift, your external world often lags behind. Your environment still expects the old version of you, but that version is quietly dissolving. You begin to feel misunderstood without being able to explain why. You start holding parts of yourself in silence because the language of your becoming has not yet formed. This is not isolation, it is incubation. During this season, your nervous system itself is changing. What once felt safe may now feel constricting. What once felt exciting may now feel empty. Your tolerance for noise, pressure, and shallow connection diminishes. This is not because you are becoming fragile. It is because your inner life is becoming more refined. As your perception deepens, your capacity for what is misaligned decreases. You can no longer comfortably carry what is untrue. This is why you begin to sense that certain relationships, roles, and expectations are no longer sustainable. Not because they were bad, but because they were built for an earlier version of you. Growth always demands release. Nothing new can enter a clenched hand. At this point, many people try to renegotiate with their former life. They try to keep everything intact while changing on the inside. They attempt to be both who they were and who they are becoming. This creates enormous internal pressure. You cannot remain in yesterday's shape and still expand into tomorrow's calling. Something must loosen. Something must fall away. God does not rush this process. He allows the tension to remain long enough for you to recognize that your old structure can no longer contain your new interior. He allows the dissatisfaction to mature until you no longer seek comfort in what is familiar but false. He allows the ache to deepen until you are ready to trust the unknown more than the predictable. This is why you feel the strange pull between grief and hope. You grieve the life that is ending, even if it was not perfect, and you hope for a life you cannot yet see. Both emotions coexist because both are true. You are losing something real, and you are being prepared for something greater. There is also a quiet courage forming inside you. You may not recognize it yet, but every time you sit with the discomfort instead of escaping it, your inner strength increases. Every time you resist the urge to numb the uncertainty, your trust deepens. Every time you release what no longer fits, your alignment grows. This season strips away illusion. It reveals what truly matters and what was merely convenient. You begin to see how much of your previous life was built around expectation, approval, performance, and survival. And you begin to sense that your next life must be built around truth, presence, integrity, and purpose. This is where many people feel the temptation to hurry the process. They want clarity before they are ready for it. They want direction before the foundation is stable. They want certainty without transformation. But real becoming cannot be rushed. Roots must grow before branches appear. You are learning to trust what you cannot yet define. You are learning to follow the quiet wisdom that does not shout or argue, but gently insists. You are learning to sit with questions without demanding immediate answers. This is not weakness, it is spiritual maturity. There will be moments in this season when you feel unrecognizable to yourself. The things that used to motivate you no longer do. The rewards that once satisfied you now feel hollow. You may wonder if you are losing your ambition or your edge. You are not. Your ambition is being purified. Your edge is being sharpened. You are no longer driven by fear of falling behind, but by a longing to live in alignment with who you truly are. This is also the stage where faith becomes less about certainty and more about trust. You stop demanding that everything makes sense and begin allowing God to shape you in ways that feel uncomfortable but right. You stop trying to control the process and start cooperating with it. This does not make you passive. It makes you available. Your old life no longer fits you because you no longer fit inside the limitations that once defined you. You have crossed an internal threshold. There is no return to who you were, only a forward movement into who you are becoming. The waiting you feel is not wasted time. It is formation. The confusion you feel is not disorder. It is restructuring. The fatigue you feel is not failure, it is the cost of shedding what is no longer necessary. You are being trained in stillness, in discernment, in patience, in trust. These are not the skills of survival, they are the foundations of calling. And even though this season feels uncertain, it is deeply intentional. Every shift, every loss of interest, every quiet longing is part of the architecture of your becoming. Nothing is random, nothing is wasted, nothing is accidental. You are being prepared for a life that will not fit inside your former limits. This is not the end of something. This is the beginning of you. What makes this season especially difficult is that it offers you no clear map. You cannot point to a single event and say, "This is when everything changed." Instead, the shift unfolds slowly, quietly, often beneath the surface of your daily life. Yet over time, the evidence becomes undeniable. You no longer respond to the world the way you once did. What once felt urgent now feels trivial. What once felt acceptable now feels heavy. What once felt secure now feels too small. This is not because life has become worse. It is because your inner world has grown larger. There comes a moment when you realize that your old life was built to manage your past, not to carry your future. It was shaped by who you had to be in order to survive, to belong, to succeed, to be accepted. But survival is not the same as fulfillment, and belonging is not the same as becoming. At some point, the structures that kept you safe begin to limit you, and what once protected you begins to restrain you. This is the tension you are living inside now. You may notice that your tolerance for false urgency has collapsed. You can no longer pretend that everything is equally important. You can no longer scatter your energy across obligations that do not feed your soul. You begin to guard your attention, your time, your inner life, not because you are withdrawing from the world, but because you are learning the value of your presence. This is the quiet strengthening of your inner authority. In this season, you may also feel strangely vulnerable. Without the familiar identities and motivations that once anchored you, you can feel exposed, uncertain, unsteady. But this vulnerability is not weakness. It is the soil where your next strength is growing. You are learning to stand without the armor of your former self. You are learning to trust the deeper foundation that is being laid beneath you. This is the point where many people are tempted to rush forward. They want a new role, a new label, a new direction, something to replace what is dissolving. But replacement is not the same as transformation. God is not simply exchanging your old life for a new one. He is reshaping the very way you inhabit your life. This work is slow because it is structural. It reaches into your beliefs, your desires, your fears, your expectations, and your sense of self. It loosens what was rigid, it strengthens what was fragile, it aligns what was divided. This is not cosmetic change, this is formation. You may not yet see where this road leads, but you are already walking it. Every moment of quiet discomfort, every sense of inner misfit, every pull towards something truer, is part of the same movement. You are being led out of a life that no longer fits you and into a life that will. The uncertainty you feel is not absence of direction. It is the presence of a deeper calling that has not yet taken its final shape. The emptiness you feel is not lack. It is space being created for what is coming. The longing you feel is not restlessness. It is recognition. At some point, you will look back on this season and see that it was the moment everything quietly turned. Not in your circumstances first, but in you. You will realize that this was when you stopped trying to force your future into the shape of your past. This was when you stopped clinging to what was familiar and started trusting what was true. Your old life no longer fits you because you are no longer the same person. And you do not need to become someone else in order to move forward. You only need the courage to release what you have already outgrown. The life that is forming around you will not resemble the life you are leaving behind. It will not be louder, faster, or more impressive. It will be steadier, truer, and more aligned with who you are at your core. It will feel less like performance and more like presence, less like survival and more like purpose. This season is not here to break you. It is here to prepare you. You are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself slowly, honestly, and with a strength that will carry you into everything that is still ahead. Walk in the light, even on the days it feels distant.